I wasn't involved. Ivanka Trump rejects claim she played part in her father's fraudulent finances. Ivanka Trump has told a New York court she had no role in preparing her father's financial statements, echoing her adult brother's evidence in the fraud trial that will decide the future of Donald Trump's business empire. The former president's daughter was an executive vice president in the Trump Organization from 2011 to 2017. She's been called to answer questions in the civil trial, which for weeks has been hearing evidence the Trumps routinely overinflated the value of their assets on financial statements. The case, brought by New York Attorney-General Letitia James, alleges Donald Trump's annual statements of financial condition routinely contained fraudulent figures designed to get better deals on loans and insurance. I wasn't involved in his statement of financial condition, Ivanka Trump said during even-tempered testimony that contrasted with her father's angry sparring with the judge earlier this week. Before leaving the company to work with her father in the White House, where she was an unpaid advisor, Ivanka Trump helped establish a lending relationship between the Trump Organization and Deutsche Bank. The bank's private wealth management arm eventually lent the company hundreds of millions of dollars, with loan terms that required Donald Trump to submit his financial statements each year. Ivanka Trump said she didn't recall ever providing information about asset values for the statements or reviewing them before they were finalized. She recalled being shown a few documents and correspondence that referenced financial statements, but that was not something I was involved in. Those were not things that I was privy to, she said when asked about financial statements referencing some apartments, which she had options to buy, in a Trump-owned building on New York's Park Avenue. Lawyers for the state of New York alleged that Donald Trump was giving his daughter a steep discount on the apartments while claiming on his financial statements that they were worth far more. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Donald Trump appeared on Monday, local time, after his sons Eric and Don Jr. gave evidence last week. The brothers also said they had minimal knowledge of the statements. Ivanka Trump was initially a co-defendant in the civil case, which has been brought by the Attorney General. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than, but an appeals court dismissed her as a defendant in June, saying the claims against her were too old. She left the Trump Organization, where she had been an executive vice president, in 2017. However, her attempts to avoid giving evidence were unsuccessful. The court did not agree with the Trump family lawyer's suggestion that the Attorney General was needlessly hauling Ms. Trump into a highly publicized trial for the obvious purpose of harassment of both Ms. Trump and her father. Judge Arthur Engoron has already ruled against her father, her brothers and the Trump Organization. In a pre-trial decision, he resolved the lawsuit's main claim by ruling they were liable for fraud. He ordered that some of the Trump family business licenses be canceled, preventing them from doing business in New York. However, that order is on hold as the trial takes place. The judge still has to rule on 6 other claims. They include allegations of conspiracy, falsifying business records and specific insurance fraud. He is also considering penalties. The Attorney General is seeking at least $250 million United States dollars, $390 million, in fines. She also wants a permanent ban on Donald Trump and his sons running businesses in New York, and a 5-year commercial real estate ban on Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization. Speaking outside the court ahead of today's evidence, Ms. James said Ivanka Trump secured and negotiated loans to obtain favorable terms based on fraudulent statements of financial condition. She will attempt today to distance herself from the company, but unfortunately the facts will reveal that in fact she was very much involved, she said. Ms. James, a Democrat, is seeking hundreds of millions of dollars in penalties and a permanent ban on Donald Trump doing business in New York. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Donald Trump, who remains the comfortable frontrunner for the Republican Party's 2024 presidential nomination, denies any wrongdoing, as do his sons. In a hostile court appearance earlier this week, during which he frequently clashed with the judge, Donald Trump insisted that his financial statements actually underestimated his net worth. He argued properties including his Mar-a-Lago estate and Doral golf course, both in Florida, were undervalued. He however acknowledged that his Trump Tower residence in New York and his Seven Springs estate north of the city were overvalued. But he said that should not matter because the paperwork included notes to say the estimates might not be correct. The trial is due to wrap up in December. Donald Trump also faces 4 criminal cases, 3 of which have trial dates scheduled in the first half of next year. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than in March. He's due in a Washington court, accused of conspiring to overturn his election loss, and in a New York court over his business dealings there. A federal trial relating to classified documents he took with him when he left the White House is set down for May in Florida. Time equals 400 Ms. Greater than a date is yet to be set for a fourth trial in Georgia, where he and his associates face racketeering charges over alleged election interference in that state. Donald Trump rejects all the criminal allegations against him.